If you're going to engage students, you actually need to be having fun. Too many professors think of this as, I have to map it all out, I have to line it all up, I have to design it exactly so, and it must be on this exact schedule, and we must cover X, Y, and Z today, this, and this. But if you don't allow time for the rabbit holes and the fun, nothing happens. And you have to kind of put in that destabilization because students don't expect it. They've been told all through high school, I mean, it's amazing when you talk to freshmen, all through high school, they've been told that professors are really, really tough, which we are, but that they won't care. And they'll just flunk you, and they'll just put it right back in, and you're going to have to learn to take notes, and they're going to lecture from the top, and da-da-da. And I'm not going to lecture a lot, but that's me. I'm not that kind of professor. I'm going to have a lot more fun engaging them in discussion. But the thing is, you can't allow for chaos. You can't allow for creativity. You can't allow for people to do the unexpected and have fun with it. And you can't change their expectations unless you let yourself get a little off that schedule. You still have to plan. You just plan knowing that you're going to allow for these moments to follow that digression and go down that rabbit hole and see what happens, which makes it a lot of fun. How do you plan knowing that you're going to have to throw pieces away? How do you plan knowing that you're not going to get to this one or this one? This is actually a really good question, and there's actually a lot of debate about this. There's a fair number of professors who say, I won't put anything on my syllabus if we're not going to cover it. And I actually default the other way, and I like to think of it as the syllabus is the playlist. I mean, this is sort of going with jazz or music, right? The syllabus is your playlist, and if you're up front with your students at the start and you say, okay, look, this is a playlist, we're going to bounce. We may move through different threads, right? Or we may pick up a melody and see where it takes us, or a backbeat, right? Where you're going to go with it, if you tell them up front, they'll be very flexible with that. And I like having those other pieces on the syllabus and saying, look, this is sort of what we do ideally, knowing that we're actually going to have some fun with this because it is like jazz, it is like music. Then they come away with a sheet where if I didn't get to X, Y, and Z, this is something cool that I could go to later on. I started as a high school teacher a long, long time ago, before I figured out that somebody was probably that I was never gonna survive as a high school teacher because I was gonna break too many rules. And initially I had these, they were beautiful, these lesson plans that were mapped from start to finish, which actually I teach our education teacher cert students how to make these sort of plans, right? And they actually work very well, and they organize your thoughts, and they help you. And actually, I think more professors should do it. You need to organize your performance, because if you're not going to be a sage on a stage, and I don't think you should, and these students, that's not going to necessarily work with them. You've got, it's an interactive performance. So if you start thinking about it that way, you've got a playbook, right? So you're going to put together a playbook, and you actually should. When I started out, though, I was really rigid. This was like 20 years ago. And if I hadn't gotten to that piece, I was going to do it no matter what. I was just going to speed things up to get there, right? And then shortly thereafter, I figured out that really didn't work. And you've got to let some pieces go. But that's the great thing about outcomes. If you're actually teaching to outcomes instead of to content, if what you're actually thinking is, what are these outcomes, not can I cover chapters 1 through 15? Because some outcomes are content. But the great thing about outcomes is you can get there any way you want. A lot of people come into something thinking, okay, this is part 1 of this course, you know, whether it's English Composition 1 and the next one is English Composition 2, or Bio Composition 1, Bio Composition 2, History 1, History 2, History up to 1865, right? And then you go from the Civil War on. And folks think, oh my gosh, I now have to cover, right? Everything up to 1865 in history, American literature, science, whatever. That imposes a track. But spontaneity and allowing the unexpected, picking up what made a student sit up in a desk is going to be the much better result. And that doesn't work with, I have to cover X number of years or X number of chapters every week. But you'll have a lot more fun teaching, and you'll get a lot more done if you focus on, by the end of the course, what do I want them to do and know? So stop thinking of it in segments and start thinking of it in big picture outcomes. And that frees you up to play jazz.